What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here alongside Josh Javis on the Wednesday Linc Live. Couple minutes late. We got the things rolling. We're trying to get things settled and set up some equipment, but we're back and live. Josh, good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I'll take the blame. It's totally my fault for running late. It was wheels off, like I told you, trying to scramble and get everything put together. But we're here, better late than never, I guess. And there's something about it being the start of summer. For those that maybe aren't aware, it's the first day of summer, the longest day of the year.
Yes,
it's felt like it for me. I don't know if it's felt like that way for you. It sounds like maybe so for the pre-show, but it's crazy. But we're here, so I'm happy.
It's been one of the longer days, yeah, but we're welcoming people in. We're going to go and answer questions. Let the live go ahead and get started here. Make sure people can find it and see it and take all the questions there. Dan the man says that we are late. Dan, we know that we're late. We're trying not to be late, but we are a little bit late right now. It's interesting. It's been an interesting week in the land of the Philadelphia Eagles because Philadelphia is in, as I try to go ahead and just pull this up, make sure we are good to go. Cool Rain says, Thomas, did you shave? Maybe a little bit. Maybe just a tiny little bit. I didn't shave that much. Just a little bit.
The stash is not as pronounced.
It's not as pronounced. We got to mix things up a little bit. Stash gets hot. It's hot in Atlanta right now. It's like humid and sweaty. Ugh, it is what it is. But essentially,
that time of year.
Interesting week for Philadelphia. There's a couple of things going back and forth that we're going to go ahead and talk about, and obviously take a lot of questions as well. Where do we start? I think we start with the PFF offensive and defensive line grades, which I think it's hilarious because going into this offseason, the whole idea was that Philadelphia was going to lose people, right? They lose Isaac Seumalo and they lose Javon Hargrave, who are two of the best players at their positions. Isaac Seumalo is one of the best right guards in the league that no one knows who he is. No one talks about him. And same goes for Javon Hargrave, who had double-digit sacks as a defensive tackle. Does not happen unless your name is Aaron Donald. And yet Philadelphia loses both of them, and they get all these young guys, which they might be good, they might not. We don't know if Juergens and Steen and Jalen Carter, we think, right? But, we don't know. Yet True. They still have the number one rated offensive and defensive line going into 2023. If there ever was an argument for why Philadelphia will be as good or better in 2023, this is it. There is no better argument than Philadelphia having the best two offensive and defensive lines in the National Football League than anything. I mean, clearly this has got to be it.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's one in the trenches like we've seen for a number of years. And that's kind of Howie's MO, obviously build from the trenches. That's where we draft. That's where we put a lot of the draft capital and just the spending. But yeah, to your point, it's like, okay, the group was already good. Yes, you did have some departures, but you filled it with really guys in the draft and some signings even to get some more depth in those places. But to see that even outside sources and, say what you will, PFF, they're maybe right as wrong as much as they are wrong. Like there's some rankings and some grades and everything. It's like, wait a minute, what in the world? But either way, you see them ranked as number one. And I mean, from Twitter reactions and everybody else, you don't really hear a whole lot of like, oh, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. Like everyone kind of knows, like, yep, the Eagles are the cream of the crop. They're the top of the list as far as O-line and D-line goes. And it's great because it really sets the tone for, oh boy, we got to play the Eagles. Like if you see the Eagles on your schedule, you're in for a test because it's going to be a battle in the trenches, and that's where it's won. So I'm happy about it. Obviously no qualms here, and I don't think that we're upset by the rankings, but it does come back to, okay, you got to back it up. And I think from the defensive side of the ball, I don't know that I'm as concerned about the D-line as I am the O-line. Now, let me just to make sure I'm not concerned about either one, but there's still that right guard position. And it's a question mark of, look, is it going to be Cam Juergens? Is it going to be Tyler Steen? Is it going to be fill in the blank? Is there another signing, someone else that's going to be brought to the table as that right guard? I don't know, but we will be fine. I'm trusting Stout, but I think if I had to rank, okay, which one's the better in terms of we have both at top, both as the first in the D-line and O-line, I see probably D-line right now where I don't have as many concerns. Whereas for the O-line, to me, I'm like, yeah, it's not super concerning, but it'll be interesting to see who is that right guard spot because you've got to solidify that in between two Hall of Famers and Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson. So we'll see. I don't know.
See. I will push back a little bit. I do think that right guard, in terms of the weakest link on your offensive line, it's better than, of course, like a right tackle. I mean, the fact that you have Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata, they don't need double team help. And so you could get Kelce to double team over to whoever the right guard is because Dickerson's fine being on an island as well. So, and again, we're nitpicking, right? It's not like we're the 21st best offensive line in the National Football League. We have to debate on, how many sacks are we going to give up? The O-line is going to be great, but it's just a matter of where's the weak link. Same with the D-line. D-line's going to be great, but is Jalen Carter instantly a star? Is he instantly a superstar? Is he just good this year, then great next year? Like those are just tiny little things that we get to argue about because our roster is the best in football. It's just that simple. Just that simple.
Agreed. Yes. And as I see some of the comments on here, I know people are going to say it. That's why I tried to preface as best I can. June Sinatra there is, you're doubting Stoutland University. I'm not doubting. I'm not doubting Stoutland University. I trust. I'm just saying, if you were to say, are you a little bit, not even concerned, I don't even know what the right word is. It's been too long of a day already. But the one that I'm going to say just is a little bit more of a question mark is the right guard position. For as far as D-line goes, I'm going into it already saying, you know what? The guys that are on the table right now, the competition is crazy for D-line. Yes, you could add another depth position there, but I think it's just a little bit more towards the O-line. But again, I'm not doubting Stoutland. Like, just please hear me on that. Do not call me out on that because I trust him. We've seen enough from him to know.
A lot of questions here coming in. Ohana means family jumping in. Hurts produces, I think it's going to say his name. He gives the eagle emoji. Frankie Ray jumping in. What do you guys think about the CBS top 100 players in the NFL? The Birds having 9 of them. I had a tweet on this. I can't find it, but it was essentially they had Kelce at 2. A.J. Brown was like 7. Darius Slay was in there as well. And again, these are the top 10 players at their position. The wild one was, of course, Jalen Hurts being 7. Which, can you name 7 quarterbacks you would take over Jalen Hurts right now? Because there's a couple, right?
Nope.
Most people would take Burrow, Mahomes, and Allen. Those are the 3 that most GMs, I think, as of now, because you have 1 year of experience with Jalen Hurts being elite versus multiple from the other ones, although Josh Allen throws picks. I'm not saying I would take Josh Allen over him, but most GMs would take those 3, right? But name me another. You wouldn't take Lamar. You wouldn't take Herbert, despite the fact people love him. But you would talk about blowing leads being a serious issue here and beating good quarterbacks. The guy hasn't done it. So there's 2 more. That
not Trevor Lawrence, even though Chris Sims would, but no, absolutely not.
I mean, come on. Who else? Who else would you actually take? That was the crazy part. But again, we see this all the time. There are so many lists that don't put Jalen Hurts up there. And normally their argument is we need to see more, which is fine. But we need to see a lot more from Lamar Jackson. We need to see a lot more from Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert, right? I mean, come on. One of these went to a Super Bowl. The other 3 didn't. There's an argument there. I mean, come on. It's wild.
Completely.
It's really wild.
There's always, and it seems to happen quite a bit for Philly players, especially you look at the quarterback position, and it's surprising, but it's not completely. But yeah, I'm with you there. It's like, okay, if Jalen had only made it to, second round of playoffs or even first round elimination, whatever, okay, sure. That makes sense. Fine. You got to prove it in the playoffs, but the way that he played, especially on the biggest stage in the Super Bowl, come on, to your point, the other quarterbacks have something to show. You could argue and say, oh, well, they played longer. They've done it multiple seasons in a row, but they haven't gone to the Super Bowl. They haven't done anything the big time. And Herbert, like, again, just blowing a 27-point lead, like that should count for something in the negative column, like to decrease that. But for some reason, he's much higher up there. And you talk about the throws and everything else, and let's not even get into Chris Sims or the haters like that, because it's just ludicrous. But yeah, it's hate. I mean, at 7, especially. I mean, I think I had a show or a comment in the show today. Someone mentioned the ESPYs. I'm sure you saw too. Jalen's nominated for the best NFL player. So it's like, hang on, you're nominated for the best NFL player, but you're 7th on the list in terms of quarterback. Like, please explain to me how that works.
You can't. You just can't. But see, again, and we got to preface this. This is what everybody does from June 1 until basically July 29th or whenever they report to training camp. What is it? It's August something. There's nothing to talk about. And this is when lists come out. This is when rankings come out. This is when you make arguments based on last year versus this year. They're trying to find something for everyone to talk about, which helps because we're talking about it. But this is the time for lists. Lists are not meant to be totally agreed on by everybody. They have to have some sort of, controversial thing. And Hurts seems to be the one that they want to be controversial for. So what are you going to do? Okay, quickly. First super chat getting you into the ticket giveaway is Joseph. Boy, don't make me say your last name, Joseph. Kovalchuk? Who was right? Me or Josh, let us know. 2 entries in the ticket giveaway. We're getting Jalen's arm strength ranks. Honestly, I think it's pretty darn good. You look at the deep balls pre the Bears game when he hurt the shoulder, money, and the accuracy is unbelievable. It's what Russell Wilson always kind of made his money on pre going to Denver, right? I think after that, the arm strength was really shot. He was definitely hurting with that shoulder, was trying not to show it. You saw it on one play, though, in the postseason, and that was the final play of the Super Bowl when his Hail Mary for 70 yards came up short. Surprise, surprise. I think it's fine. He has really good arm strength. Now, There's Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, cannon, but I mean, what are we talking about
True.
here? Just a little bit of ball speed, and Hurts has had no problem fitting stuff into tight spaces. Watch the second half of the Super Bowl. Again, it's not been an issue, Joseph. I don't think it's an issue. He has
I
B
don't
plus
either.
arm strength, but he has A plus a lot of other things. So, I mean, come on. It's an A average.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. B plus feels about right. And
Sure.
and honestly, too, I mean, even to go to the Super Bowl, like he stepped on Kelce's foot, so it hurt his distance or his arm
Yes,
strength on that last throw. Granted, he probably I don't know, maybe he could have made it further down there. I don't know that there's any impact there, but still, just in terms of that one throw to all of a sudden grade it and go, oh, is there issues with arm strength? I mean, I don't think so. What's more telling to me is go back and watch the Super Bowl, like you're talking about, especially the second half, the throws that he made to the opposite side of the field.
Yes.
Over outstretched arms of Chiefs defenders. If he doesn't put zip on it, if he doesn't have arm strength, those are pick sixes. Those are being intercepted easily. So I'm not concerned about it. I'm with you. Is he the absolute top of the league? No, but is he in any concerning area? Absolutely not. So I'd say B plus. That seems fair for sure.
I totally agree. Again, 2 entries into our ticket giveaway. If you have not dropped an entry, all you got to do is do a super chat and then, of course, a subscription to both our channels. And
Got you down.
We're going to be picking one winner to win 2 tickets to any Eagle game of your choice or sometime during preseason. So jump in on that. It'd be a bunch of fun. Tracy, here, I got to back up a little bit here. Where was the one on Yannick Ngakoue? Okay, Ohana means family. To be honest, I don't want Yannick Ngakoue. We don't need more edge rushers. I don't want guys talking about weight snaps from BG and Nolan Smith. I would agree. There's 0 reports linking Yannick Ngakoue. The only linking you get is a CBS article or an ESPN article saying best free agent fits for remaining teams. And they just pair him with Philadelphia because he would be the best fit. There's no reporting, right? So anything that says we're going after Yannick Ngakoue is a lie because
you're sure that's not serious.
Sure.
I'm seeing ESPN. You know, I gotta automatically think that.
No, they're not.
I know it's the dull period of the offseason right now. It's just like, hey, put any name, attach it to the Eagles, boom, automatically you get readers. You get it's nothing to be said about that. It would be great, right? I mean, like, sure, there's lots of players that have been named and, oh my gosh, this person's linked to the Eagles, or how great would it be if Budda Baker or Patrick Queen or just, all these other defensive players that have come up, and even offensive players for that matter, DeAndre Hopkins and several others, but it hasn't happened. And, I don't know how much we want to get into it either, but I know the report about the Derrick Henry and Akbar Baja-Biamila saying that he ruined the deal earlier this week, which is, are you kidding me? You had the power of, oops, I leaked it too early. So then, Howie or the Titans, whoever it was, backed off going, oh, no, we shouldn't actually do this. No, come on, that's crazy. But yes, in this time especially, there's lots of rumors and there's lots of, let's just link this player to a team because it's fun and because we need to read about something or talk about something.
Sure. I mean, I'm not going to complain because we get to talk about it. Also, what's the Titans guy name? Is it Akbar? How do you say his name?
Yeah, Akbar Baja-Biamila.
I believe Akbar believes that he messed the trade up, but Akbar did not mess up that trade. Okay, just because it's not like Adam Schefter was tweeting that was happening. If they wanted to get the trade done, they would have gotten it done. Philly was clearly in wanting a running back. They traded for DeAndre Swift. Come on. Yep. I believe he believes it. And you listen, people can text you stuff all the time. Okay. Hey, this is happening. And you trust your guy. So it'd be like, okay, I believe you, but is it actually real? Not too sure about that. Tracy Ann says, you're more concerned about right guard than safety. That's tough because we all expect, I expect it to be Edmonds and Blankenship. We all love Sidney Brown, but I think right now it's Edmonds and Blankenship. For sure, Edmonds. I think he's starting for sure. We'll see about the Ghost and Blankenship. Right guard, maybe. I don't know, Josh. I have no idea. They're the 2 most concerning battles, but there's quotes here because it's not that concerning, but we're concerned, so it is what it is.
That's fair. Yep. Yeah. I know it's not a complete concern, but if we're looking at the roster, that's one of the weaker spots. I'm with you. I'd say they're probably both right up there. I would say maybe if I had to choose, I'm going to go safety only because I'll say it again. I am all about Stoutland and Stoutland University, so I'm not knocking him. So if there's anyone I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt, it's going to be Stout and figuring out who the right guard is, whether it's Cam Jurgens, whether it's Tyler Steen, whether it's someone else. The safety position, I'm super high. Everyone knows probably by now, Sidney Brown, I love. So yes, while it's probably the in-house favorites right now are the Ghost, Reed Blankenship, and Terrell Edmonds, I wouldn't be surprised if Sidney Brown plays his way into a starting role, even if it's not till like mid-season. But I just think that this guy, I mean, I know you did a show on his story, and there's just something special. And I'm a Twin, so there's even extra hype for that. But like, I think he's going to be great. But yeah, maybe a little bit more concerned with safety. Maybe the question too would be, if you look at, let's add another position in there, linebacker. So if I said, are you more concerned about linebacker, safety, or right guard? Does that change anything for you? Is it linebacker? What are your thoughts on that?
Linebacker is so hard to decide, though. It's so hard just because there isn't a veteran like Edmonds. Like, Edmonds is a veteran, and Nicholas Morrow, again, had one good year, but is that enough to make you think that he can be like a superstar at linebacker? The problem with saying linebacker is the most concerning is that Howie Roseman is not concerned about linebacker because he never has been, right? How many times has Howie Roseman had a chance to draft a linebacker, trade for a linebacker, and get the superstar at the MLB position, and he doesn't do it? So to me, it's Howie's saying, listen, we are going to create a ton of holes on our defensive line that will be then filled by linebackers for open field tackles. If you can open field tackle, you're going to be a star in this defense. That's all you got to do. There's no block shedding. You don't have to worry about Jason Kelce going to the second level and hitting you because you're on the Eagles. You don't have to worry about Jason Kelce. So I'm sure, I think linebacker is a concern, but the idea that there was an article, I'm going to do a show on tomorrow, there's an article today saying the Eagles have the worst linebacking core in the National Football League.
Yep.
It's like, okay, again, PFF, love it. I have nothing against PFF. But their rating system can definitely be a little shaky. But how would you rate Nakobe Dean if you're PFF, right? It'd be like a Madden grade.
For sure.
Put an 85 on Nakobe Dean in Madden because we think he's going to be good this year. They're grading him off of last year, and Nakobe Dean hardly played, so then his grade has to be lower, right? So, it is what it is.
I agree. Yes. And I talked about it in the show today too. You mentioned that article, but yeah, you go into depth of it's hard to grade what you don't know. Like, you just haven't seen Nakobe Dean at this level. And so now he is the signal caller. He's wearing the green dot on defense. So you got him, you got Nicholas Morrow, which is interesting. I think the Bears were like second on that list. And we did a little bit of a switcheroo with you take TJ Edwards, or they take TJ Edwards, and then we take Nicholas Morrow, and you go from second on the list to 31st, which is crazy. But still, to your point, you need more proof, like, to be able to rank them that high. There's only one team that was worse, and that was the Rams. So, I don't know. It's not a crazy thing. I do think that there's some potential, but like I talked about on the show, it still wouldn't surprise me if Howie were to go make a move.
Sure.
I don't know that it's going to be this drastic, crazy one. Like, it'd be awesome. How great would it be if it's a guy like a Patrick Queen, or I used to say Isaiah Simmons, although he's a defensive back now. I don't know what that's all about, but something like that, a big splash. But to your point, like, he doesn't value it enough to do it. So I think it would only be more of like a veteran, a proven guy who's done it for a little bit, but not at the upper echelon of his career, but just something for depth or possibly to come in and start. But that's if you go through training camp and say, oh boy, like, this is not actually what we expected. There are definitely some holes here at linebacker. We need to go get somebody, but we'll see. I don't think it's dead last, but again, you can't really knock it necessarily either, because you don't have something to say, hey, well, look at their tape, because they haven't really done it.
Right. Also, I do love the idea that we all thought TJ Edwards was really good, but no one thought he was like elite. And he goes to the Bears, and suddenly he's like top 5, and he was like top 7 in some list I saw. And it's like, it's like, I like TJ Edwards a lot, and I wanted to re-sign him. He got his bag and went home. So is what it is. But it's he's not that. He's not that great. This isn't Ray Lewis, okay? It's not he's Brian Urlacher returning home for the Bears. Just to be
good for him. Good for him. But yes, it's a crazy swing from going from 31st to 2nd on the LB list.
Where do you think Jalen's arm strength rank? Joseph said that we missed this one. We didn't miss it, Joseph. He said you missed my super chat. We didn't miss it.
I think it just took us a while to get there.
Okay.
I think we eventually
making sure we got it. Yep. 2 for Alfonso Gudia. Didn't have any sort of option here or a comment here, but oh wait, here it is. So he got 2 there and then another 2. So he's got 4.
All right, got you
down.
And
he said, "What are your thoughts on the defensive coaching?" We've talked about the defensive coaching a lot. The defensive coaching is like Nakobe Dean. No idea. Right? There's been some flashes there, but what do you even make of it, right? Nakobe Dean has a couple of good snaps against the Titans. That's what you have to go off of, besides special teams. Like, the Titans game snaps, when they were blowing them out, you had a really good one-arm tackle of Derrick Henry, right? Sean decided the same way. 24th ranked defense, but he had the Bears. The Bears weren't that good. So did he turn this trash roster into the 24th best? Well, that's not the worst. Yeah, I don't know.
True.
I don't know. I have no
I
idea.
know. Do you look at it as glass half full or half empty? That it's we have to see it on the field. I think that what like we've said many times, and probably most people, if you've heard any of the sound bites from Desai or you've taken a look at any of the clippings from just the quotes that he said, he's saying all the right things. He gets you hyped up. Like, I can't wait to see this team in action. And what I love the most is you talk about the situational football and how he's going to have players ready to make plays, have the IQ in certain situations and moments. And you could go back to Gannon. I know we knock on him a ton, but the team played really well. He struggled with the adjustments, and I'm hoping, but again, it's hope because we don't know until we actually see it, but I'm hoping that Desai puts the players in the right position saying, okay, you know what? We're going to make adjustments here because this either isn't working or they figure out how to beat us, and we'll see some better production there. Because I think that too often you saw, the defense is playing great early in the game. And then all of a sudden, what in the world? What are we doing? Why have things changed? And it was just the fact that, well, we're not making adjustments to theirs. So maybe we see that in all the talk about situational football. I know Nicholas Morrow and I think several others, was it Nakobe Dean and a couple other members of the defense were saying the same thing as well. So again, right now it's like, well, it sounds great, but until we see it, we won't know for sure. But I'm super hyped about Desai. I really do think that this defense can, and I'm going to say will be better than the defense last year, as crazy as that sounds, or as insane as that may be. I just think that you're going to have the playmakers like that. Now, the stats may not tell the same story because remember, we have a more difficult schedule. If you look at all the quarterbacks that we play, it's going to be a telling sign. We're going to know very quickly what this defense is going to be as soon as we start getting into that gauntlet of the QB schedule. Like that's going to be the true test for sure.
And also, we got to remember, we all thought Jonathan Gannon was a terrible defensive coordinator, and Philly was ranked pretty high. So Desai would have to be really bad in order to make this roster of really good players look bad on the football field. So what are you going to do? Maurice with a 10, he gets 10 entries into the jersey giveaway, or sorry, ticket giveaway. I do it once a show. He says, who will make the team? I'm not sure who we are talking about here. If you'd like to give us another comment and tell us who you are talking about, Maurice, I will put that up there. Who will make, and maybe saying who will make the team. Who do you think will make the team? This is impossible to know. The roster will be very similar to what we think it's going to be. There will be one or two surprises. There always are. One or two, right? And those surprises will either be one of the running backs being cut, whether it's Sermon or Penny. We talked about this. I think that Penny's is not locked up because he's cheap, and if Sermon balls out, he can take the spot. But again, that would be a shock. The other shock would probably be Kayvon Wallace. If he stinks and Sidney Brown is good to go, do you keep him? Do you need to? Because they might want to keep extra offensive linemen. And the other surprise cut could be Quez Watkins or Derek Barnett if you wanted to get funky, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Those are your surprise cuts. That's like 3 people. And they wouldn't be that big a surprise. Besides
that would be, I was going to say, that would be a pretty big surprise. I mean, I think Quez is a lot less likely. Derek Barnett's weird because it's like, we had the rumors and speculation, like a month ago or so. It was, hey, he's going to get cut. The Eagles, save some space, get rid of him, whatever. And then it seems to die down a little bit. But then a report surfaced again of, well, maybe not. There's a possibility. So it would still be surprising, but I think that would be less surprising, I suppose, out of Quez. I don't think there's any way, right? I mean, Quez, if they were going to try to get rid of him, maybe they were trying to see what they could get on a trade. And then it's like, we're not going to get enough. So let's just see. Let's see what he does. Let's put the bug in his ear. We get another guy like Alameda Zaccheaus that's going to push him, and let's hype him up, which they've done before, kind of, and it didn't really pay off. But maybe this is his revenge season. I'm hoping to see that because let's be honest. I mean, speed kills. Like, if he can put it together, a lot of players just can't keep up with that because they don't have the speed. That's not something you just say, hey, go work on that. You're either gifted with the speed or not. So like, he has a leg up on the competition, but it's if he can get that mental part and in the big moments, is he going to actually make the catch, or is he going to make a boneheaded play and fumble or something like that? I hope that this is finally the year and he can really take that step. But I don't know. It still wouldn't be surprising if we're sitting here like, all right, well, that was not a great year again, and he's on a contract year, so I guess that's it. We'll see you later.
Yep. I totally agree. Okay, a lot of questions here. Let's keep rolling through them. Dante Reyes says, let's see, best Philly show out there. Thank you. We appreciate that. We're trying to be. Working on a lot of shorts recently. We had some fun shorts. Your AJ Brown short, by the way. I had no idea AJ Brown taped $100 bills and had $11,000 under his pads at the Super Bowl. That's when you want to do the jersey exchange. You accidentally take his pads too. You're like, oh, whoops, and then run away.
Yeah. You just say, what in the world? Like, I mean, to me, I was thinking that's dangerous. You got that much money on there, like it's one thing when it's a couple $100 and he starts it early in the season, but I think I saw it on the Inquirer who had it first, and I was like, oh, what? And so I started doing some more research, and it's like, yeah, early in the season is not as big of a deal, but you talk about by the end of the season when he had 11 touchdowns and 500-yard games. All right, you're showing up with an extra bag, I suppose, of 11,500. So it was a fun story. I like covering those shorts. And actually, I got to make a little correction here. I think Matthew Ordill, maybe I may not say that last name correctly, but just watched Josh's comeback video. Great job. I think that was your comeback video. I don't remember doing a comeback video. So
it was my video.
I did watch that.
Yes.
And that's the best, or definitely one of the best games that I ever.
Easily.
I mean, how crazy was the Miracle in the Meadowlands? Just nuts. It's crazy.
I totally agree. That was one of I actually had given up on that game. I was young, so I was very mad, and I went and I stormed out of the room, and because they were down, right? It's 31-10.
It looked over. It looked over.
And I went to my room, and I was very mad, and then my mom said, come back, because Brent Selleck scored the first touchdown, make it 31-17, and I was like, no, I'm not going to get my heart broke. And then when Vic ran for the next one to make it a one-score game, then I came back in. So I will admit I was a bad fan on that one, but I mean, come on, 31-10 with 8 to go, and the offense is doing nothing all game. Like, what do you think? They're just going to turn it around? That doesn't happen until it did, and then I was watching and screaming and happy. So, what are you going to do?
It was nuts, yeah. And I actually, believe it or not, had the Eagles defense in that game in fantasy, and Deshaun won it for me there with the punt return. It was an extra win, even though by that point I was like, I don't care what happens if the Eagles just win the game, but then I won in fantasy, so it was great.
There you go. Damon Grant says 0-4 the last time there were back-to-back champs in the NFC East, which is wild, by the way. It's crazy. Will the Eagles break that trend? And if not, why? The only reason the Eagles would not win back-to-back NFC East titles, well, the first one is a non-factor. It's injuries, right? If enough people blow out their legs, then sure, you're not going to win it, and that's you can't do anything about that.
Hopefully not.
The only other way is if you have an NFC East team dramatically overperforming. For instance, the Giants. The Giants roster, if you got a Jalen Hurts-esque season out of Daniel Jones, would be very good. Now, that's a mega jump, but we forget that Jalen Hurts had a pretty big jump from 2 years ago to this past season, right? So we're trying to figure out how the Eagles lose this division. You would need a mega jump from Daniel Jones that would be just like, awe-inspiring. And even then, I would still take the Eagles roster. Or there's a regression somewhere. I don't know. It's hard to argue against the Eagles winning the NFC East. It's really hard.
Yeah. I think you'd go buy a lottery ticket before I'd say that Daniel Jones is going to take that.
I would too.
That next jump. But no, I get it. Yeah, just go with the theoretical argument of how that works. I think Dallas is, as much as I hate to say it, I think Dallas is the biggest competition. The only way that we don't repeat is if Dallas has some sort of year, and hey, they have a great season, they win some games, and it's still neck and neck. But I don't think that there's any way the team runs away with it. Like Philly, it's up for grabs. But it would just surprise me if at the end of the year, I think it surprised most of us if we're not saying, yep, there we go, finally broke the streak, we won the division again, and it actually happens that way. Because I mean, I guess we could talk about Washington, but like, is that really, are they going to do something? They've done crazy things in years past, right? Whenever it's like, oh, they're not even going to do anything at all, and all of a sudden they make playoffs and they do better. But like, this is not really the season. There were moves that they could be made, and they didn't make those. And now it's what Jacoby Brissett is pushing Sam Howell. Who knows who the quarterback is going to be? I like Brissett, but he's not your long-term starter. He's a great backup, but there's some good pieces on Washington. But again, I think if we're going back to, I think it's Dallas. I really don't see the Giants. I don't see the Commanders being those teams that are actually in your way.
Yeah, I mean, Howell would have to be otherworldly, and it's so hard to do. I mean, come on, there isn't a quarterback in NFL history rookie year where you're that great, besides RG3 and, of course, what's his face, Russell Wilson, right? Those are the few recent examples of rookies that really balled out. And RG3 won one playoff game, and that was it. So what are you going to do? We'll look at the NFC conference in a second. Let's get to some super chats. Who got more yards, TD, Smith, or Brown? With Alfonso, 2 more entries into our ticket giveaway. Got you locked in there. This is up in the air. Smith had 7. I feel like it could be more. This is such a hard question to answer. Who knows? We don't know. No one knows the answer to this question. I think the sexy pick is Smith, sure, but
Yep.
Okay. I mean, it can go either way.
Yeah, completely. I mean, my prediction, it'll be dead wrong, I guarantee, because I say this now. But I'll say yards, it's going to be Devontae. But TDs, it'll be AJ. I don't know. I just think AJ's stature, like the way that he can body other cornerbacks and win possession balls. Not that Devontae can't win a lot of jump balls, and he's ridiculous, obviously. But I just think touchdowns, probably a little bit of the edge to AJ. But I do think this year, I mean, I think Devontae is. I don't know really that you could say he takes another step because of how good he was last season, but whatever that next step is, I think that he does it. And with his route running and separation, I think that he'll have more yards. So that's what I go with.
I totally agree. I think we're about to see the NFL version of AJ Brown's final year at Alabama. Or sorry, Devontae Smith's final year at Alabama. Now that doesn't mean he's going to put up Heisman Trophy 22 touchdowns, but
300 yards in the first half.
Right. Come on. It doesn't happen in the NFL. But what I'm saying is an NFL version of that is like 12 touchdowns, 1,500 yards, and he's unguardable. That's the comparison. I feel like that is coming, and I feel like it's going to be impossible to stop it because A.J. Brown lurks on the other side. And as soon as you switch, Devontae Smith has a game. I was watching Devontae Smith footage because I did a short on Devontae Smith earlier this week, and you go back, there are games where he has low catch numbers, and then there are games where he has high catch numbers. And the only caveat there is if it's a low catch game for Smitty, it's a high catch game for A.J. Brown and vice versa. Now, they have games when both of them are playing well, but you basically pick your poison. So let's say Smith starts to ball out, and then there's a game where everyone goes, okay, stop Devontae Smith. Then it's just an A.J. Brown Steeler game, or it's just an A.J. Brown Titan game from last year, and then they'll go back to A.J. Brown, and then Devontae Smith will have a massive game. It's hard to do, man. It's hard to cover. There are only a few teams that are like this in the league, and everyone points to the Bengals because they have really good number twos, but I think A.J. Brown, or I think Devontae Smith is way better than T. Higgins. I think he's way better than Tyler Boyd. I think that if you were asking corners, would you rather play T. Higgins or Devontae Smith? They'd take Higgins and Boyd 24/7 because Smitty's route running is what's so scary because you just can't stop him and he gets open so much.
I agree. Yeah. I think the danger that he presents, like you mentioned there, he helped win my fantasy league. So, there's extra reason. I don't think that I'm going to be able to get him in like the 6th or 7th round like I did last year. But yeah, we need to make that happen though. The fantasy draft that we were talking about that. I know we've been talking offline, but I think that's in the works.
In a second. 1 second. Jose Gonzalez, 5 entries in here. He says, I brought a Cox jersey to everyone. I love Cox. Fantastic. I wish Chris Long would line up next to him. Okay, well, you can look up that picture because it exists somewhere. So congrats on your Fletcher Cox jersey, Jose. Congrats. Okay. Moving on. Okay, quickly here. Josh and I have talked about how we are going to do a multiple fantasy football leagues for the channel. We don't know exactly how we're going to have people enter. We're going to try to do 4-ish fantasy leagues of 12 plus people per league, subscribers of our channels that Josh and I are both in with a pot at the end and a lot of fun there. So stay tuned. We have nothing to announce tonight, but that is coming because we want to be able to interact with you guys, and fantasy football would be a really, really fun way to do it. So we don't know how we're going to pick because there's obviously, tens of thousands of subscribers on both these channels combined. We don't know how we're going to pick the 48, for instance, or the, 36 people to be in these 3 or 4 leagues, but we're going to figure it out. Josh and I will both be in them. Our only caveat is people got to be active in these things, right? You got to be every week. I don't want to see bench players, who should be starting on the bench. I hate that. That is like an instant ban from the league, but
exactly,
once they're in there. So
when people get free wins, because how many of us have seen that one guy who
every year.
Week before he doesn't submit a lineup, he's got 4 or 5 bye weeks, and then the next week you're playing him, so you're like, okay, you know what? At least I'm going to get a win, and all of a sudden he submits his lineup. You got to be kidding me. So we at least if you're going to play, that'll be fun.
I totally agree. Ohana says, which players do you guys think we need to temper our expectations on heading into this season? I think Edmonds will be extremely underwhelming. By week 3, Sidney and Brown and Reed will start. Could be. I feel pretty good about Terrell Edmonds. A player to temper expectations?
Good question.
I'm not convinced Rashad Penny's going to stay healthy. I don't think that we have this YouTube highlight reel of Rashad Penny in our minds that we're going to get. And it's like, that's the Rashad Penny. I don't think we're getting that Rashad Penny. I'm not convinced on that yet. And although my expectations aren't really high for him. There are a lot of people in my comment section who are saying he's the best back. Wait till he breaks out. We paid him nothing, man. I mean, you got to tell me
That's
that
true.
we paid him pennies on the dollar, and there's a lot of injuries to that lower body. It feels like a DeMarco Murray situation where the expectation will be higher than the outcome, but he's not on the Murray level because he didn't make a gajillion dollars, at his previous job with the Seahawks. Other than him, Josh, I mean, who else? I don't know.
It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, the safety position seems to be one of those easy ones that you could say, or the one of the that comes to mind a little bit quicker. But we talked about linebacker, Nicholas Morrow. If he's going to be a starter, we don't know. But the question is, can he keep up the level of play from last season? I mean, it was really his first full season. Got the reps, led the team in tackles, so he played pretty well. But it's like, okay, we still need him to prove it. So maybe we temper expectations with Morrow, perhaps.
Yeah.
And if you want a wild card, and this is going out there, and I'm not saying that I'm predicting this to happen, but I think it's a fair question.
Yeah.
Is Darius Slay? Like, he's getting up there in age.
Okay,
and early in the season last year, he was great. There was a little bit of a drop off, not crazy, but towards the end of last season, you could argue. Now, was it he was not getting as many targets because quarterbacks know they shouldn't throw it his way? Maybe, but there also could be something to that. So, I'll be curious. Anytime a guy starts getting up there in age, you always start looking that way to say, well, there's always a decline. And just question is, when will it happen? So I don't know, maybe temper the expectations. That'd be the wild card, the one that you don't really think of as much, perhaps.
That's fine. Yeah. I mean, you can't argue against it, right? I mean, Fletcher Cox is not the player, that he once was, but he still plays at a good enough level. The question is, he gets to rotate, whereas Slade doesn't. So that's why Slade can be more of a problem, which you said. But I think he'll be fine. Alex, what is this? Santana, 5 entries into the ticket giveaway. Week 2 of the weekly super chat. Who do y'all think we take the most snaps at running back? Alex is smart because $5 a week with a chance to win 2 tickets valued at what, $600 to $800? I don't know what the prices are going to be.
Depends on the game, but yeah,
6 or 7 weeks. You're only putting in, $50. It's not a bad idea, Alex. I'm just gonna say, people take note when these tickets.
Got you down.
He says most snaps. It's easily Swift. I mean, Swift is the pick.
Uh-oh, did we lose Thomas there?
Did
we lose you? Okay, you're there. Yeah, I was saying for a second I could hear you, but then I didn't see you. And then okay.
I literally hit a button and I was gone. I was like, oh my gosh. Okay,
well, my connection's been bad, so I thought it was me that was gone for a second. But I was like, wait a minute, I'm still in the show. So.
And I think I hit the back button on my mouse. So I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. We're back. We're still live. It's Swift, right? Obviously it's Swift. Gainwell's going to get a lot of touches here, but there are going to be too many scenarios where they're going to want the ball in Swift's hands because he's just a better back. So those two. That's why I think Penny is going to be a lot less, exciting because you have to go through Swift and Gainwell first before even thinking about giving Penny touches, right? So, we'll see.
I agree.
We'll see.
Yeah, you're for sure. You're Swift. There's almost no way that he does. Only injury, right? I mean, if there's an injury, then maybe he doesn't. But I think it's almost a lock that he's going to have the most snaps. Gainwell next. Penny's going to factor in there somewhere. But again, to your point, it's like, okay, they're not even going to overuse him, I don't think, because it's if he does make the team, I think he'll be used in certain situations of, hey, if you get in the goal line, he can obviously more of the power and strength, but in other situations too, I think maybe even late game, if you got a defense that's gassed, and you imagine putting Rashad Penny, a healthy,
that's
physical, strong Rashad Penny to finish the game off, I'm all for that. But yeah, in terms of just overall snap count, I think it's got to be Swift and Gainwell that are kind of spelling one another in the games.
Ohana Means Family says our running back room reminds me a lot of the 2017 running back room. I would agree. That is a very good comparison that I've not heard anyone say, but you have a Blunt type figure. You have a Jay Ajayi type figure who was physical and fast. You obviously have a Corey Clement type figure. Sproles. Wasn't Sproles? No, he wasn't. No, Sproles wasn't on that team. It was Clement, Ajayi, Blunt, and then was there who else was on that roster? There's another back, right? Jeez, 2017 was not that long ago.
I know.
Eagles,
I'm drawing a blank of who that was. I know.
My brain is getting fried. Here we go. Here's your depth chart. It was Blunt, Ajayi, Wendell, Smallwood. That was the other one. I didn't put it on the screen though. Hang on.
How could I forget Smallwood?
Wendell Smallwood. Wendell Smallwood is a Super Bowl champion. Think about that. There are a lot of.
That was a team.
There were a lot. Here we go. I have it here. I gotta zoom in on this thing. I can't. Let's see if I can get it to pull up correctly. But here is your roster. There are a lot of players that have Super Bowl rings that you kind of go, oh yeah, they do have Super Bowl rings, don't they? Pretty wild. So yeah, you have Blunt, Ajayi, and then they would mix in Smallwood and Clement, and actually Kenyon Barner would get some touches.
Yep.
And that's basically it. So yeah, there you go. But I agree. It's
true though.
It's very simple. How many fourth quarter starts will Marcus get this year? Not a lot. This is not going to be a year where Philly blows out everybody. It's not even close.
It'd be nice.
It'd be nice,
but
the schedule's too hard.
I think
one or two. How about that? One or two times you're going to see Marcus Mariota start in a non-injury situation. That's it, max.
And hopefully it's only in a non-injury situation.
Right.
Because otherwise, I think we're going with a higher number. But hopefully Jalen can stay healthy. I think this year, put a little bit more premium on that. You have a stable of running backs, like we just talked about. Not that we're going to take anything away. And Sirianni said we're not changing anything, but you got to wonder, is there a little bit of a change? You change it slightly with the new team here. You're still going to get QB sneak. I think it's too effective of a play. Jalen's a gamer. He's going to be all for it. It's not like he's going to go and say, hey, don't run me in those situations or whatever. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think with this group here, like you mentioned, though, the schedule, as difficult as it is, maybe a couple games. Hopefully it's more. Like if you're blowing out teams, you take it to the Bills or Dallas or whatever, and you're up by 30, that'd be great. Yeah, let's see Marcus more times in the fourth quarter.
What's wild is I was watching some highlights from this past year. We forget how good, I'm blanking on it, Gardner Minshew was in that Cowboy game at Jerry World.
Yeah.
Holy cow. I watched that film and I was like, this guy was balling out of his mind. And then all his other starts were like, okay, this guy's really not good. I could totally see Mariota. If he had to play, he could totally ball for a game. Foles did it. There was the Giant game. As soon as Foles came in after Wentz got hurt, he balled out, and then he struggled against the Raiders. It was like, okay, is he good or not? But I could see Mariota struggling long-term, but throw him in kind of on just a short week. Don't think about it too much. Just go out and play. And he has all these weapons. He's like, oh, my gosh, he could ball out for one of those weeks.
For sure.
Fine with it. Because Minshew, how many points did they score in that Giant game? I mean, it was 34-34 late in the fourth quarter, and he was throwing dimes on third down. It's a crazy highlight game to go watch. But, of course, you're watching the defense also get shredded by Dak Prescott, which is tough to watch.
Yeah, that was very tough to watch.
What are you going to do?
Speaking of fantasy, I had Minshew because I had Hurts, and then he got injured. I had to pick up somebody. I was like, yeah, you know what, against Dallas, and that helped there. But, unfortunately, we lost the game. But, yeah, that was a little bit tough.
Yep, I totally agree. Ohana says, which pick would you guys rather have back, Barnett or Andre Dillard? It would depend on who was taken around there. What was the 2016 NFL draft? Let's see who was around first round. Who was around Barnett? Did we miss somebody big time when you go pick by pick? Do I have the right one here?
I can't recall off the top of my head, but I'm going to say probably yes.
I can't even. Okay, no, it's the 2017 draft, Thomas. I'm an idiot. Sorry. Trying to get this thing right. 2017 draft would have been the Barnett draft. There it is. Okay, let's just see here. Let's just quickly while we're at it. Okay, so Barnett went 14. Haason Reddick went one before, which is fast. I did not know that. He went 13. So after Barnett, you had Malik Hooker, Marlon Humphrey, Jonathan Allen. Okay, that's who you would take. Adoree Jackson, not good. O.J. Howard, Garrett Bowles, Gerard Davis. There weren't a lot. Evan Ingram, Garyon Conley, Tack McKinley. These are not good players after him. David, I guess, okay, fine. T.J. Watt, sure, but no one knew it was going to be that good.
There we go. There's always someone. You could say that with any draft. Sure. Just name a pick and say, "Oh, should we have taken it?"
What was the Andre Dillard draft? When was he drafted? Now I'm curious. He was drafted in 19. Okay, so show me the 2019 draft real quick here. Who was around?
Matthew says the correct answer is Jalen Reagor. Yes.
Yeah,
that is the draft. The correct answer is for sure Jalen Reagor.
2019 draft, Dillard here at 22. Titus Howard, Josh Jacobs. Okay. Well, okay, here's Montez Sweat and Marquise Goodwin. There's some good ones here. But like Jerry Tillery, LJ Collier, not that great. DeAndre Baker, Caleb McGarry now is good. Took him forever. N'Keal Harry was a bust. Not a lot. I mean, honestly, you would take Sweat because he's the best player left. And you could make the argument for Josh Jacobs, but it's not like there was some superstar like TJ Watt still on the board early in that round. So I don't know. Whatever. What are you going to do?
TJ Watt would have been insane. But again, we've hit on a lot of other picks. You don't hit them on all. And, you live with it. I think I'm happy where we're at. I think most people are, but yeah, you can always regret or look back and go, gosh, why didn't we name your person?
Sure,
And I know
sure, sure.
Justin
Yeah,
Jefferson
yeah,
is
yeah.
probably the hardest one to actually swallow there, but that's neither here nor there. We
I
move
saw a
on.
report on Justin Jefferson because he's going into year 4, right? So he has this year and next year on his rookie deal. They aren't trying to hurry and get a deal done for him. And I've thought about this because obviously Devontae Smith is a year behind. So Devontae Smith goes into year 3. He has this year, next year, and then the 5th-year option, which they will for sure should be exercised, right? So he has 3. Now you wouldn't re-sign Smith now, but if you were the Vikings, would you try to re-sign Jefferson now? Or would you wait another this season to go and then do it? Because I mean, if he gets injured this year, you already paid him, then you're in trouble. But if he balls out this year, he gets even more money as the salary cap goes up. I just made me think about we're going to be in the situation next offseason with Devontae Smith, and I can't decide if you'd want to pay him early or not.
I'd pay him. I'm all for if you have, I don't know, if you have a guy who's like a little bit of more of a question mark, then sure, I could see where let's wait, let's see it play out. But I think in that instance, you know what you have. Like you've seen enough, I think, to prove it to say yes, we need to pay him before the market completely resets, or you got to pay even more, figure a deal out. So if it's me, I'm saying yes. It's crazy, and I couldn't exactly tell. I don't know if I buy it completely. It seems like or sounds like Justin Jefferson has grown over the offseason. Did you see that report? Like he's what, 2 or 3 inches taller? I don't know if that's true.
Whatever
If it
that means.
is,
Yeah.
okay, how much better is he going to be, or worse? I don't, you go through a growth spurt. Is he, uncoordinated? I don't think there's anything like that. But it's just crazy because I think that I don't think it was like small, right? Wasn't it a couple inches that someone was saying that he's grown over the offseason?
I guess, which is wild to think because he's like 23.
Yeah, right. And I've heard of some things like that happening, but like, I don't know, at the level of an NFL player, it'd be a little bit crazy. But maybe he did, and if he did, it's just going to be even more dominant and crazy because of that size that he is now. Assuming that it didn't hurt any of his, speed, quickness, or whatever there. But yeah, it's just kind of a crazy report. But yes, I think if you're the Vikings, like you go get a deal done now. Like you don't need what else do you need to prove to you to say, now let's just wait. Like, go ahead and do it, because otherwise, yeah, you're gonna have to pay him even more money once other deals start getting done, and then you're like, well, now we got to up that because he's got to be the highest paid receiver, and we got to do all these contract negotiations. So I expect that they would.
Someone just said Herbicide. That's a fun name. He says the Seahawks are coming for you guys. Is Seattle? I don't know. What is Geno Smith? Right? They have the early bye. They have a pretty easy schedule to the point there's not a tough stretch besides this little 4-game banger where they go San Francisco, at Dallas, San Francisco, and then, of course, Philly. Like that's where it gets a little tough, and I guess you could throw in the Rams here too. But it's not a bad schedule. I think they could be a wild card team, but there's just no way that they're going to be that impressive of a team overall, right? Like we don't think that they're going to be a 12-win football team, although the Jackson Smith and Jiba hype is real because people are saying he's unreal at training camp right now, like unreal. So we'll see. But
breaking ankles, Devin Witherspoon too couldn't even cover him. So,
but we've talked about the NFC a ton here, right? There are a couple locks: Philly, San Francisco. They're both winning their division. We all think Detroit will be the other one. Then the question, of course, is who's going to win the other division? A lot of people say Carolina. A lot of people say New Orleans. Then there's a couple of wild card teams stocked, here and there. Dallas could be a wild card team. The Vikings could be a wild card team. Seattle could be a wild card team. The Saints could be a wild card team. Like it's going to be tough for them to be a wild card team because there feels like there's 3 decent teams in the NFC. Philly, San Francisco, and Detroit, and then a lot of 9-win teams and a lot of 10-win teams. So I don't know if they're coming for us. It's a little, hot take.
A little premature, but who knows? And we could still even lose in Seattle. It wouldn't completely shock me because it's been forever since we've won in Seattle, and that's a tough place to play. But we're talking about the full body of work, and if you look at the whole season, I don't know. I need a little bit more proof. Not that there's something to go off of last season, but it's Geno Smith. Can he do it again? Can he play at that high of a level? He's got the weapons, so maybe he can. But I don't know that I'm necessarily scared and shaking my boots quite yet.
Fonzo gives the 2. He says wishbone in or bone out. I don't know. Up to you. But you get 2 entries into the ticket giveaway. That's funny. It's a good one. 2 entries.
You don't have a preference?
I really don't. I don't have a preference. Do you?
I go with the bones in, but
Okay.
Sandy can't stand it, and it seems like most of my family are absolutely the other way. So I'm traditional. You
Okay.
got a little buffalo sauce and bones in. That's the way to go.
Yeah, I'm not a huge wing guy, regardless, but
Ooh,
either way,
that's a hot take.
I'll go
Speaking
either
of,
way. Yeah. What are you gonna do? Yeah, your 2 entries though.
what do you
Ohana
eat on
means
game day?
I don't eat a lot of weird stuff. I mean, I like burgers, I guess would be a game day pick. I'm not a wings guy. I'm really
Okay,
not. I've never been a wings guy. Never been a wings
interesting.
guy. Yeah,
All
never
right,
have
all
been.
right.
It,
You're not the only one. I've heard of some,
they're
but
so messy, and I like to be on Twitter during games. Like that's how I watch. I'm like on Twitter. I'll see a play, read people's thoughts on it, and move on.
that's
So I don't want to
fair.
be like
Yep.
winged up and then I know it's not a popular take by
I
me.
definitely can't do that. Yeah, when you're
Yeah,
involved
you're
with the
in.
wings,
You're in.
there's no tweeting on the phone or anything like that. So
Right.
it's a commitment.
Ohana Meets Family says, not football related. We always talk about something that's not football related. This is fun. Have you guys seen the Titanic tourist vessel? That's a scary situation. Okay, I was going to bring this up anyway. This is
Oh yeah.
very bizarre to me for a couple of reasons. This whole idea, if you haven't seen this, of course you have, right? There's 6 people or whatever in this submarine, although it's not a submarine because there's a technical term for it, whatever. And they are trapped down there because they got lost. And they're 12,000 feet down by the Titanic, so you can't go rescue them without with just a man going down there. And they only have like 20 hours of oxygen left. Like, first off, horrifying situation. I would be absolutely, pooping myself. I'd be so scared. It'd be terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
But what I don't get is, and I saw this. This is a tweet. This is not my original thought. We can put a little tiny plastic tracker on a shark and know exactly where it is 24/7, 365 within a foot, and yet we don't know where this Titanic touring vessel is. Either they are the most incompetent tourist organization ever, which by the looks of the Logitech controller was a little bit sus there. They're either the most incompetent people in the world and have no way to track this thing, or there's something else going on, which I don't know. Also, there are 2 billionaires on this thing because it's like, an insane amount of money to even go. So I don't want to get weird, tinfoil hat, but you're telling me they can't find this thing? Really? You can't find this thing? They can find the Titanic. I know there's GPS coordinates, but we're saying this thing it's in an area, right? Like the Titanic's here. It can only be here, right? They can't find it. It's
You
weird.
would think you would think
weird,
so.
Man.
I mean, it is a very strange situation. Maybe the Megalodon got involved.
Yeah,
That's what I've seen some of those tweets there,
What's wild though?
In all seriousness, I mean,
terrifying.
thoughts and prayers for people out,
Yes.
because I can't imagine being on that. But whenever I saw it at first, I was like, I honestly, like the report first came out and I was like, oh, no biggie. Like they're going to find them. And then it's drug on and like, what? You still can't now? Like that's really shocking.
Tracy says they lose whole airplanes. Okay, maybe. The other crazy part is that your viewing hole is this. It's not like you're in a submarine where you're all like, whoa, look at that. It's like, hey, my turn. Oh, there's the Titanic. And then my turn. Although I will say this, it'd be super cool to be on that sub and be like, that's the Titanic 12,000 feet under. That feels like something you would do if you were a billionaire, right? Like
it does.
It's like going on the Blue Origin or the Bezos's rocket that'll take you to orbit and you can float around for a little bit.
Which one of the passengers on there now did that? The Bezos ride. He did that, and then he's on this one.
I would do those things, but I also feel like I would vet these things if I was a billionaire and be like, okay, this thing looks like a tube with a GameCube controller or whatever, and it's I don't know. No. Excuse me. Nostradamus says Titanic is 13,000 feet underwater. A normal military subcruise is about 4,500. GPS doesn't pick up so far down. Okay, I guess that's a good argument. But you're telling me they can't find it at all? I saw a report saying that they heard a noise of like someone they were listening for sonar sound. They heard a noise of someone like beating the side of it, like ting 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 to try and find it. I don't know. All I know is that it's a scary situation.
It really is, and I'm terrified of the ocean just to begin with. Like I'll go and I'll partake a little bit on vacations, but it's just nothing that I'll do. Let's just say that I've walked around on a regular size submarine, so I can't imagine being in a mini, whatever you want to call that.
Right.
So I would be out. No amount of money, even if it was free, I'd probably be. Yeah, I'm good.
Let me ask you this. If I told you that you could be the next person to walk on the moon, right? So you're going to rocket, go to the moon, come back. You have a 60% chance to survive that trip. Would you do it?
No.
60%. No.
Nope.
Not you.
No
be
chance.
The first person to go in 30 years, whatever it is. 60% is not bad, right? That's like a quarterback passing percentage. Pretty good. You wouldn't do it.
Not bad. It's not worth it to me.
Man, to walk on the moon.
Would you do it?
I think I'd do it. Those are pretty good odds. And if you come back, you're like a legend.
You don't eat buffalo wings, but you're going to go to the moon on a 60% chance that you're coming back.
60% chance is pretty good.
That's kind of crazy.
I think those are pretty good numbers. Those are pretty good numbers, right? If there's a 20% chance, you wouldn't do it because it's just the moon, but it's also the moon, you know?
I would, no, I'm out. I would definitely say no for 60%. I don't even know what the percentage would have to be for me to go. Yeah,
you do
sure.
It for 95%, right?
Possibly.
You have a 95% chance of surviving like your car drive to work every day. There's always a chance of risk. 60% is fair enough to make you think about it, right?
It feels very different. You know, like I know you're right. There's always a chance with everything, but
60%, man, that's pretty good.
That's way too low. 60%.
You're the guy, man. You went to Josh Davis went to the moon. You see the parade videos of whenever they came back from Apollo 11? Those guys were worshipped. It's like the best thing ever.
Yes, they were. Good for them. Be worshipped. More glory to you. I'm staying at home. Send me the pictures. Let me see it from home.
Matthew's saying it's been 50 years. He said 1969, but 1969 was the first moonwalking. In fact, the last people to walk on the moon was like Apollo 17 or something like that. So it hasn't been that long. They did it in the 70s. I don't know the date. Whatever. I'm just going out some questions here. Philly says, let's talk football. Sorry. Just, moving on. Let's get back to people don't want us talking about non-bird things. Okay, we're sorry. Goodness gracious. 60% chance we'll talk about the birds again. There. Maybe. Give us a bird question. I don't see a bird question in the chat. People are asking about Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook. Did you see that report? Dalvin Cook wants to play with DeAndre Hopkins?
I did see that one. Yes. Yep.
No chance.
Now, where's that going to be?
Not in Philly.
Not with Philly.
0% chance. Yeah.
Maybe the Patriots, but I don't see why. That's just talking, right? I mean, that's like what Zeke even said, something to the effect if he wanted to be in Philly, like he's naming them as one of the teams. Of course you do. Most people want to be in Philly. They want to play with the Eagles. So I don't know. He won't be here. And most likely Dalvin won't even play with D-Hop, but it'd be great. I'm sure he'd love to.
Probably not.
I don't know. Did you see the Lions helmets, the alternates?
Oh gosh, they're not good.
I was curious to get your thoughts on that, but it really got me thinking about the Kelly Greens. Like if the Lions are announcing alternates, and we're not too far away from the Kelly Greens being announced, right? I mean, unless those fakes that were real, that were fake, that are maybe real, like I don't know what the story is. I don't know what the deal is.
There's no way that they mess it up this bad. Like this. Why can't I find a good picture? Hang on. I'm trying to get a good picture of the Lions new helmets. We can pull it up on there. They are. It's not bad, but I get what they were trying to do, but it's the Lion logo that just looks rough, right? I don't know, man. And Matthew says, what's up with the tail on the lineman's helmets? Yeah, I don't know, man. It's not that good. It's not that good.
Yeah.
It feels like it could be better.
Cole from How About Those Chiefs was the one who I saw. I think he said it's a nod to like the Lions' really old logo, so that it looks very similar to how the lion looks. But I mean, the lion looks like it's on its last leg and starving for a meal. So there's not a very ferocious look to it. But I think the color scheme is great. It would have been cool if they could have gone with just a different logo itself and keep the color scheme. But anytime you see another teams, immediately my first thought is, like, when are we going to see the Kelly Greens? Like it's only a matter of time. We got to see them at some point.
But we know what the Eagles are going to look like. That's the thing. Like the Eagles Kelly Greens are exactly the same as they were back when they used them. They're just slightly updated, right? I mean, hang on. I got to do this on the fly again. When you pull up a classic picture of the Kelly Greens, right? And if I could pull this thing up, if I could get, where is it? It's hard to do. Goodness gracious, I'm struggling here. Give me Randall Cunningham, please. I just can't.
Matthew says, although hungry dogs run faster, maybe hungry lions are the same thing.
Maybe they do, right?
That's a good point. Sure.
It's not going to be different than this. This is what it's going to look like. It's going to have the old logo. It'll have a Nike symbol here, and it's going to look exactly the same. There's nothing to mess up in the Kelly Greens. It's
Well,
gonna
I'm
look
not
just
expecting
like
anything
this.
crazy different. I'm just telling you, I want to have like the actual announcement so we can either start buying it or, something like.
Oh, I thought you were saying you were worried they were gonna be looking bad.
Oh, no. They're going to be great. I'm not concerned about the look. I'm just saying like timing wise. And then I did a show about the fake Kelly Green jerseys because Dave Spadaro went on Reddit and basically went just about as far, not saying like they're completely fake, but he completely disowned the report and said, "Oh, I'm not paying attention. The Eagles have something crazy planned. It's going to be awesome." So he basically said that they were fake, but then the guy who I think AJ is his name, and I think he subscribes to the show too, because he commented, said, "Hey, it's crazy that you're calling it counterfeit." I'm just saying what Spadaro said. Like, I don't know what the truth is. At first, when I saw the video, I think both of us were like, they look fairly legit. I mean, it looks like the stitching and doesn't look too far off if that's what it's going to be like. But I don't know, maybe they're real, maybe they're not. I don't know what the deal is. I'm just ready. Can we just get the official announcement? Like there's nothing else going on this offseason. So if anything, please just announce them. Let's start buying them and we'll all be happy. It'll be great.
I don't understand why people think these are fake. Other than you make an argument that it's going to be better stitching and better numbering. This is what it's going to look like, right? Like what did people think it's going to be when they say that these are fake? This is what it's going to look like.
I don't know.
Right?
I mean, is the number stitched on there? Like that's the only thing I've heard from some people being like, "Oh, that's just an ironed on number." Like, okay, maybe,
but that's what it's going to look like, right?
That's what I would think.
Yeah, this to me looks like what they are going to look like, and they're going to look very, very good. They're going to look very good. No issues with them. I think they're fine. Whether those are real or not, who knows? Okay, a couple more questions here, and then we're going to jump off. Both have some things we got to go ahead and run to. Brian says, "What's up, gentlemen? What is up, my man?"
What's up? How are you doing, Brian?
Coloring helmets will look very nice. Yes, they will. And like Josh said, if you're going to announce them and you want to, do something to help us during the next 2 months, now is the time to do it. Although, let me say this. It is June 30 or 21st. We are basically a month from training camp, right? A month and a couple of days. They'll be reporting, and we'll be like, they're reporting. And then there'll be a couple of walkthroughs, and then we'll have our first padded practice, and then it's like game on, right? We're actually having hitting videos and 11-11 videos. That it's gonna be pretty quick, I think, pretty quick.
It feels like forever. I agree, it's going to be pretty quick, but right now, this is the moment where it's just, can we just speed it up a little bit? Because yes, it's only a month, but it's a month, and this is kind of crazy. It's taken longer than I would like. Let's just say that.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. Ohana Means Family says, would you guys sign Julio Jones to a cheap deal as an insurance policy if AJ gets hurt for it? No. Julio's washed, guys. Julio's washed. He couldn't make it in Tampa, and he was like their second best receiver because Godwin was banged up, and he just couldn't even do it. He couldn't even do it. So one game, you need him for one game. Deontay Smith and Dallas Goedert can't hold down the line for one game. They're fine. They'll be just fine.
I agree. I'm out on Julio.
Completely. Yeah, I totally agree. Cool Rain says, Josh, how is the Texas weather? I've heard we're going through a massive heat wave. I was there 2 weeks ago, and it was insanely hot. Ooh. I think it's gotten worse, though.
It has gotten worse. Yes, it is 105, and I think the heat index these last few days is like 118. So I appreciate you asking, Cool Rains, but we need a little bit of the cool over here because it's bad whenever you walk outside and it's like 10 o'clock at night and you immediately just get hit with that, like, you expect kind of like a cool summer breeze, and it's not. It's like you opened up an oven, and it's been terrible. I like to take walks at night, take the dogs out and everything. No, not right now. It's pretty bad. It
had been a pretty cool spring though in Texas. Like it
really had been. Yeah,
summery. So what are you gonna do? Elfence says, love the show with a 5 entry to the ticket giveaway. We appreciate that, Elfence. We hope you guys do enjoy the show. We have big plans coming up for the start of this season, so be sure to stay tuned for that. It's going to be a bunch of fun. We appreciate you getting the 5 entries. Josh has you down.
Got you down.
Dan the Man says, how's it being an Eagles fan in Texas? I mean, you can speak to it better than I can, but I lived in Texas for a lot of my college years. It's not that bad. Cowboy fans are a lot of talk. They're not the type to come up to you and be like, oh, Eagles are terrible. They're not that bad. I would say in person.
True.
They're annoying, but they're not like threatening.
They're annoying, but I agree.
Right.
I mean, honestly, it's been fun. It may have been different, like, if the Cowboys had actually been relevant for a little bit and maybe won a Super Bowl and tried to rub it in. But if anything, it's kind of enjoyable because I get to rub it in a little bit and listen to the local radio and hear how it's like, oh, this is our year. And then, oh, it's not. And the best thing was the day after the Eagles had won the Super Bowl and listening to local radio and them trying to somehow disown the Eagles got lucky and, the refs were on there, just all this BS that they're actually trying to sell. That to me is the most enjoyable because I get to listen to it and be like, all right, cool. You guys keep talking. You be salty about it, but we won and you didn't, and you haven't done anything in forever. So I like it. I mean, to your point, and I feel like, when you see an Eagles fan, especially in Texas, like, I don't know, there's just like an automatic extra camaraderie. I think it's everywhere, but you see them, especially in Dallas or something. It makes it fun. I like it.
Yeah, there you go. That's good. Being an Eagle fan in Texas isn't that bad. Yeah, I mean, listen, if the Cowboys were really good, it would be a little tougher. If our roles were reversed and Dallas had just gone to the Super Bowl and Dallas won a Super Bowl in 2017, it'd be a lot harder. But Cowboy fans don't have a lot to talk about right now. You saw the graph where it said playoff wins in the past 20 years. Patriots 1 at 30, Philly 2 at 16. Thank you, Don McNabb, for getting us a lot of those, right?
Yeah.
And then the Cowboys had 4. I watched Colin Cowherd talk about it today during my lunch break. I mean, Dallas has the same amount or slightly more than like Detroit and the Cardinals and the Dolphins and the Jets. Like 4 playoff wins in 20 years. There's just not much
great
to talk about, right? So, it gets to this point where, yeah, you can do the normal Dallas thing of saying, we didn't, boys, it's our year. Great. And a lot of times it is. Dallas can be very good during the regular season. They beat us every single year. We haven't swept them in a while, but you got to do something in the playoffs besides get beat every single time in the divisional round. And until you do that, and especially until you do that with us struggling, there's not much to talk about, right? There really isn't a conversation.
Nope.
At all.
They are who we thought they were. That's what it comes down to every single year. It doesn't matter if they're good or bad the regular season. We know what to expect in the postseason. Right. So,
well, and Alex Santana just said it was bad when the Cowboys beat us 3 times in 1 year. Yeah, but you always got vengeance because they never went further. Once we won our Super Bowl in 2017, the argument ended until Dallas wins another one, right? Because it's been too long. I wasn't alive for the Cowboys' last Super Bowl. You were like a little boy. I mean, it's irrelevant right now. It's like trying to say that, we won Super Bowl 1. Like, okay. Mm-hmm. Super Bowl 1 was how long ago?
Good for you. Yeah. And then you can get into the whole, not that we're going to open up this can of worms, but the whole, when was the salary cap established and were you playing on a level playing field, which they weren't. So whatever. But yeah, there's so many other facets to that argument that I'm like, cool. Let me know when you win a Super Bowl. Let me know when the next time you win a Super Bowl in this century, when it actually happens, because so far you could put a good season together and you could say it's your year, which I love every time I hear it because I'm like, sure, keep telling yourself that. Come back to me at the end of the season. Tell me how that turned out.
See, there's differences between the Jaguar fan base who is just trying to get to the playoffs and be competitive. No one's saying, at least until this season, which they're now saying the Jags are contenders, but pre this, the Jags' whole expectations were, let's get to the playoffs. Let's have a winning year. The same with the Texans, same with the Lions, same with all these bad teams. The expectation was always 9 to 10 wins. If we do that, we've had a successful year. But when it comes to Philadelphia, ours is now Super Bowl and has been since 2017. And the Cowboys, the problem is they always say theirs is Super Bowl. And when you don't get it close and you're more like a Texan than an actual Eagle team, it just gets really shady in terms of what are we even complaining about here? Excuse me. And this whole idea that Dak, Dak this, Dak that. Fascinating stuff here. Cheesesteak says, dang, forgot it was Wednesday. I was watching Brandon Graham interview with D-Gun. I'm late. Very good interview. The Brandon Graham interview with D-Gun was very good. I watched that one as well. Brandon Graham seems excited. Now, he's always excited. He seems excited about this year. And he did say he thinks this team is better than last year. He basically said it. Yep. It was hinted, but he thinks it's better, which I've said.
He said building something special.
It is. More
he
special.
Loves Nolan
I think
Smith.
The word, right? More special.
More special. And I love that he loves my guy, Nolan Smith.
Big Nolan Smith guy. Your jersey still hasn't shipped, though, by the way, right?
I know. Yeah. I don't think
neither have our 3 Jalen Carter ones. Yeah.
Tyler's, Andrea's, Danny.
They're out
still
there,
waiting,
man.
They're coming at some point.
How long does it take to print a jersey? It's June 21st.
I've seen some people have gotten their jerseys, right? Like I've seen some people post, unless they're not like the authentic through the shop, but I think I've seen some people's, but yeah, for the tracking or the shipment order, it still says processing. So I don't know. At some point it will get here.
Cheesesteak says, have to share. After my voice discussion last week, I got it in my head that Thomas sounds like Eddie Murphy's version of the white guy voice. Not really, but I thought it. I'd have to listen to Eddie Murphy make that voice. But he probably does, thinking about it. He probably does. Probably does.
I need to hear that too.
I haven't heard it.
That's
I mean, Eddie
hilarious.
Murphy doesn't do stand-up anymore, so we'd have to see. It probably does, though. It probably does. What are you going to do? Okay. Anything exciting going on the rest of the week for you as we're about to go ahead and hop off? Anything going on?
Probably not, to be honest. I mean, hopefully the Eagles players listen to Sirianni and stay out of the news, which is unfortunate for us. And I think all Birds fans, because we want something. Maybe it's good, positive news, which would be nice. But I don't know, chipping away at some shorts. We'll see if we have something out there, but not anything too crazy.
You're telling me that you are upset that an Eagle player wasn't in the news for smacking a boat captain on the back of the head like Tyreek Hill was this week? You're telling me you wish
knew you were going to bring that up.
You're telling me you're bummed that that's not happening
something to talk about.
Oh my gosh!
No,
what is he doing?
It's much better to not be in that situation, obviously. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. And there's conflicting reports of what I don't know. It's so far. It's like, did TMZ over dramatize, which they over dramatized almost everything. But what's the actual report? Is he in trouble? Who knows? But yes, thankfully that's not us. Thankfully that's not the Birds. Let's just get to training camp. If we just speed this time up, that would be great.
I did read though, and I don't know if this is true or not. Don't quote me on this. That Tyreek Hill, he hopped on. It was not his boat because he was fishing with the Black Tip HQ guys, who have a really good YouTube channel if you're into fishing. But then he hopped on someone else's boat, and then they tried to say, "Hey, this is not your boat. Get off." And he said, "I'll buy this boat and I'll buy you," is what the quote that I heard. And I was like, oh my gosh, Tyreek, please. And then he like shoved the guy. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Was this with Drew Rosenhaus? Was he there too? Because I saw a video.
It was
he
the
was
shark
swimming with
thing.
the sharks. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if that was the same putting together. I figured it was, but that's ridiculous.
I gotta find.
And that's his agent, right?
Yeah, Rosenhaus. Well, Rosenhaus is like the agent. He's the agent of all agents, right?
Yeah. But I'm saying but if your agent is right, I mean, I guess you're going to do stupid stuff whenever, but like your agent's right there. You got to wonder what he's thinking and doing in that scenario. Cause it's not a good look. I don't know what the full story is, but not a great look.
Now we have to read it. Here's TMZ. According to Miami-Dade police, incident happened around 6:45 in the Miami Marina after Hill and some of his apparent acquaintances had boarded a fishing charter that without the owner's permission. Cops said when employees of the ship found Hill's group, they tried to kick them off, but a verbal argument broke out instead. During the tiff, it's alleged Hill reached out and slapped one of the employees in the back of the neck with an open hand. And then they got, okay. So first off, he boards a boat that's not his. He didn't deck the guy. It's just like a, hey, get out of here, which is still stupid. But man, moral of the story, no Eagle player has been in the news for something this stupid. If you're the Dolphins GM, you must just sit there and go, because the Dolphins are stacked. But without Tyreek Hill, they're way less stacked because he's an absolute nightmare. So, man, no thanks on being the Dolphins GM right now. No thanks. I'm out.
Glad we're staying out of the news. Yes.
Staying out of the news.
Makes it boring.
Makes it boring.
Yes.
What are you going to do? All right, we got plenty of stuff happening next couple of days and weeks. We both have to run here. I got a lot of stuff I have to go ahead and wrap up to finish up a Wednesday. So a little shorter than usual. Shows tomorrow. Lots of shorts. There's pretty good shorts out there. I'm telling you, we've been working really hard on shorts. They're very fun, but they take a lot of effort. Hope you guys are enjoying them. Be sure to check those out. Subscribe to Josh's channel. Subscribe to my channel. We'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.
We'll see ya.